I can't believe I only have one example left and we're done with 4-1, but it's okay. This is such an important page. It's just so important that it doesn't hurt to go over it again real quick. So, again, correlation is not causation. Two variables can go hand in hand together, but that doesn't mean that one is causing the other. Okay? And the reason for that is that generally we're working with observational studies, and that means that we can't separate out lurking variables. To be honest with you, even seasoned experimenters have a hard time separating out lurking variables. So it's extremely difficult to do. There are other things that affect what's going on. And I gave the example of HIV. Wealthy countries tend to have lower HIV rates, but that doesn't mean that just giving them money will automatically lower HIV. Because what's really going on is poor countries have no investment in education. They have high corruption. They have, poor infrastructure, poor medicine, poor, all that stuff. And all of those things are affecting what's happening with your HIV rates. Throwing money at them won't necessarily ensure that any of these other things get changed. Free reduced lunch. Again, kids that are poor tend to do worse, but the solution to that would not be, well, then let's just get rid of all free reduced lunch and then we won't have a problem. It's like, no, that poverty that you're seeing has other things that are going on with it. And all of those are affecting what's happening, right? So it's not just that these kids are poor and hungry. It's that when you're poor and hungry as a child, it means that there are a lot of other things that are going on in your life. Those students tend to be transient. They tend not to stay in school very long. They tend to get bumped around from family member to family member. They tend not to be read to. Their parents tend not to be very well educated, etc. Okay? All of those things are affecting what's happening. Getting rid of free reduced lunch in your school will not get rid of all of that. You'll still have those poor kids, but then they won't have anything to eat and they'll do even worse. And then I brought in a politician from an Asian country, sees our data about life expectancy and fertility rates. Remember, low amounts of kids meant high life expectancy, right? So if you just make it so that there's a rule that everybody in your country can only have one kid, then you'll be fine, right? But the problem with that is that it doesn't really work. Higher life expectancy isn't caused by lower children. It's that when you have less children in a country, then other things are going on that are affecting it. So, for example, if I go back to Hans wrestling, hold on one sec. There he is. All right, and I checked Austria for the fun of it, but I'll uncheck Austria. And I drag things up, through to modern times. There we go. So if you look at these countries aren't doing well because, even China, like India, they didn't put in a law that's like, women, you can only have 2.59 kids. That's not how it works, right? It's that these countries are becoming wealthier for different reasons. Their women are becoming more educated. That women's are starting to have rights in those nations. The country's wealthier as a whole. That they tend to invest in infrastructure and power lines and things like that. And all of those things affect the life expectancy of your nation, right? I mean, having doctors kind of helps, right? So if you invest in medicine, that's going to affect what's going on. It has nothing to do with, making it so your women can only have one child. That's not the deal. The deal is that when countries naturally flow upward into the top left corner with less children and higher life expectancy, they're doing it of their own volition because other things are going on in their country that are causing them to move from down here in the bottom corner to up there. They move there of their own volition, not because people put laws into place saying you could only have one kid, but because they naturally started only having one or two kids. I mean, if you look at the U.S., there we are. Let me take us back to 1900 for the U.S., right? So in 1900, 3.85, an average life of 49, 3.85 kids per woman. And then you watch the U.S. over time, and it slowly changes. There were no laws put into place, but wars happened, depression. There's depression, another war right there, right? And baby booms and so on. And you're getting more kids in the baby boom and then less kids, right? And then it's growing and changing, and right? And it's naturally going up there. Nobody had to tell people, hey, stop having less kids. They just naturally have less kids. Women are in the workforce, they're not staying home, they've become educated, right, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole different world from 1900 when we started, right? Okay. So I've said it once, I say it again. Correlation is not causation. It's a very big deal. So make sure you understand why. It's because of usually there's other things that are happening in the background. All right, we are all done with chapter 4, or excuse me, not chapter 4, section 4.1. Be sure to save your spreadsheet. It's always good to save it. You're going to need it for section 4 too, and I'll see you back here for later lectures on that section. See you, bye.